All right, let's begin. Thank you. Thank you for being here. So when we sense breath, we can also sense that breath wave that moves in and through the body. Just take a moment to kind of orient around our breath. How do we experience it in our body? We may experience it with our concrete, our physical material body, cells, bones, lungs. We may experience it with our subtle body, fluids, permeable boundaries. Flowingness, rivulets, streamings. We may experience our breath emerging from and returning to a formless, mysterious location. And what matters is that we just start off having the experience of our breath that we have today. And let's just pick up one little piece from the other day, yesterday. Let's find the center of the heart space. And to locate it in our physical body, we just go someplace between the sternum and the spine. I go down just a few finger widths from the top of the sternum. And somewhere between the two armpits. It's not quite the center of the heart organ. The heart organ is a little bit one way. It's the center of the chest. It's the center of the heart space. And feel that central, deep area of the body itself begets breath. The point breathes. We may start to experience the motion and the movement and the feeling of breath from that place and back to that place. So may we find comfort in our depths. Inhale, reach the arms out to the side. Spread the hand bones, pointing the fingers toward the sky. And now exhale, reach out through the littlest finger, stretch it out away from the ear, stretch it down toward the ground, and then the ring finger out from the ear, down toward the ground, middle finger out from the ear, down toward the ground, index out and down, and thumb just kind of scooping the horizon, making a fist, pulling the knuckles downward. Let's do that a couple more times. Inhale, reopen the hands, spreading, flexing the wrist or drawing the wrist back. And then exhale, reach out through the pinky, out to the horizon, down to the ground. Ring to the horizon, down to the ground. Middle to the horizon, down to the ground. Index, thumb, knuckles out to the horizon, down to the ground, little bend in the elbows. And once more, inhaling, open back up. And exhaling, little ring, middle index, thumb, knuckles. And release. Okay. Sometimes we get a little bit of a chest opener by setting the fingertips behind the ground. So we're going to start with that, and then we'll get kind of exaggerated. So at first, I'll just go fingertips. And I can press a little bit downward, which shifts the shoulders down, presses the rib cage, or at least the front of the rib cage, up. And for right now, we'll just play with finding that central depth of the heart space, the chest space. We're kind of finding how our breath interacts, how our breath is associated with that place in our body. Okay. And now I'm going to walk my hands back a little bit further so that I can put the palms on the ground. And this is where the shoulders may tend to want to just slide forward. But think of this almost like an ostrich, pushing, straightening, reaching the arms away from the back of the head. Nothing should feel funny in the elbows. And pressing the chest up. So I have a little more of a reclining action. It just allows me to experience breath in a few other places in the chest, especially as it pertains to the bicep and the really deep chest wall area. So take 2 deep breaths, feeling those mid and especially those upper ribs, and those upper rib muscles working, opening. Those breath pathways, those lung pathways, all around the throat and the heart and the lung. And now walk our way up, switch the cross of legs. same but different. Interlace the hands. So now I may feel a little more squeezy in the back muscles, in the back bones. And I'm leaving my hands off the ground. Inhale underneath the collarbone. And into the axilla, the armpit, the head of the shoulder. And you might just play with gently moving the tongue to the roof of the mouth. I know this isn't like a traditional placement for the tongue in these asana, but as the tongue moves to the roof of your mouth, feel how that helps the positioning of the neck under the skull, the really deep neck structures. And when we release, good. Inhale, go right hand to the ground, left arm up for side bend. Exhaling, reach that left arm over. I thought we'd do a little neck flexor work, but I want to make sure you have the right places when we do it. So I'll just forego that for now. And inhale, come up, using that left arm to help pull. We'll switch directly over to the other side. Left hand down, inhale the right arm up. And exhaling, side bending to the left. When we inhale, come upright. But I can show you this move. Okay. So there's kind of a forward and a backward action of the head. As a point of reference, I'm going to pretend that my bottom of jaw is on the top of a countertop. So I'm following this plane, this horizontal plane, as if my bottom jaw were sliding forward and backward over that countertop. And we're just going to do a few rounds. So just connect to your breath and just let the breath and the head motion be intuitive. There should be zero pain. So I'm just using my hands, not for the purpose of the technique, but really just the illustration of chin slides forward over the countertop. And the chin slides back. Now, as I'm sliding back and engaging some of those deeper neck areas, I'm telescoping my skull away from my tailbone. Just do one or two more. And that's really it. In some of the poses, some of us may benefit from some of that just slight backward action, like a millimeter, a centimeter. Okay. Let's unwind. We'll set up for dolphin. I've been playing around with some of these neck pieces over the week. It's been able to just kind of track it down through the upper back and into the shoulder blade area. So it's one of those seems small, goes deep. Elbows under shoulders. And you have a choice with the hands. You can go clasp, palm down, or palm up. Let the toe pads push into the ground. So the feeling, the perception is you're getting propelled forward. And then as the forearms pressure the ground, the forearms contribute that backward propulsion. And both together, all propulsion, no movement yet. Inhale. Experience the width of the ribs, relaxing the head and the neck down. Exhale the knees off the ground smoothly. Dolphin. And then concerning ourselves, this is an effortless move to find that deepest, centralmost place in the heart space. It's an effortless move to move more deeply. Now, there may be some process and some artifacts that require some energetic work, some breathing, some physical efforts. Different story. They require different kind of rule sets, if you will. But the actual movement of feeling and sensing and situating more deeply in the body is free. And we'll set the knees down and take a rest. We'll set up a bridge, have a block nearby. The block is for half Virasana that we'll get into. So lying on the back, feet hip width. Not only reach hands to touch the backs of your heels, but reach the hands and the fingertips toward the feet to adjust the shoulders, the shoulder blades away from the head. Now, for many of us, if we have one-sided work, we may already feel like we're situated on one shoulder blade with a very different weight or weight distribution than the other. Inhaling, feet active. And then exhale, shifting the tailbone toward the sky. And the buttock lifts. And I'm grabbing the ground slightly with my feet so as to pull my thigh bones away from my chin. So there's a little front body tug, if you will, a little front body taking the slack out of the system. The backs of the legs engage. We'll insert the block whenever your feet, your hips are steady. Right hand, reach for right ankle, and we'll begin by drawing that foot back. So as we draw the foot back, we might just hold the foot with our hand, and our toe pads might just be kind of on the ground. Or two, we may draw that foot back to a point where the top of the foot is on the ground and the toes are pointing back at the heel. And in the way that we could find and effortlessly sink into the depth of the heart space, so too we can effortlessly sink into the depth of the low belly space. Somewhere just below the navel or between the hip bones is a wonderful entry point. It mostly feels like the space in front of the top rim of the sacrum. The movement to find and to situate in this space of the body is effortless. The choice, the move itself is effortless. What we encounter as we make that move may not feel effortless. Encountering artifacts can sometimes have the feelings of confusion or being embroiled with something, extricating, processing. Right? Now, while that right foot is there, inhale, the left knee over the left hip will keep this leg bent. And as you're exhaling, keeping that left thigh vertical or over the pelvis, enact pulling the left thigh toward chest, reaching the right thigh away from chest. So I'm creating that enactment without necessarily moving my left thigh closer to my chest, just keeping it vertical. But playing with pulling my left bent leg toward my body and sending my right bent leg away from my nose tip. We'll set that left leg down, left foot down. We'll set the right foot back down to the ground. So now the left hand for half Virasana grabs the left foot. Now if you have any knee issues or back issues, just stage this more slowly if needed. I don't have to bend my knee as deeply as I can. Partial moves are great. Now, keeping the right leg bent, inhale will bring that right knee over the pelvis. So my right thigh is vertical, more or less. Okay. And now the enactments, not a whole lot of movement, but I'm enacting, pulling the right thigh toward my chest, sending the left thigh away from my nose tip. So it's kind of a pulling and a reaching, a motion toward the front of the body and a motion lengthening the front of the body. So it's a both leg active moment. And we'll set one foot down, we'll set the other foot down to the ground. Remain in bridge, and we'll go hands, the thumb and the forefinger, around the hip bone, around the waist, the fleshy part of the waist, just above the hip bones. Now, when I put my hands on my hips like so, I like the leverage of my upper arm on the ground. So some leverage there. And inhaling, using that hand pressure, grow and lift the ribs away from the hands. As you're exhaling, let those hands continue to feed pressure into the pelvis. Take a few more breaths, just like so. This hand pressure, just intimating this tractioning through the body, this unfoldment of space between the pelvis and the heart. So there's some physical efforts to feel these subtle connections. Sometimes physical efforts have subtle ramifications. Sometimes subtle efforts, subtle work has physical ramifications. So we can't always be assured that the strata in which we're working is having effects only in that strata, that layer, that bandwidth of our experience. So releasing the hands from the hips. Inhale, press with active feet. So the hips lift off that prop. We'll move the prop. Exhale. Take as many exhales as you need to lower so your spine, your head feel good on the descent. Great. Leave the knees bent just like so. Lying on back, we'll do a round of Uddiyana, just like so. Now, when I do my Uddiyana lying, you'll have to make a decision if you arc the low back or if you let the low back move toward the ground. Now, for me, I like when my spine, my low back, arcs a little bit away from the ground. Everyone's different, so you have to play with that softly. All right. So hands on thighs, inhale. The feet are pressing the ground. My hands are pressing my thighs. And mildly, moderately exhale everything out the mouth. And then continue that exhalation motion with the low belly muscles, sinking them in and lifting. You're lifting, drawing the mass, the physical structures of your organs away from the bottom of your torso. We'll do another. Just take your time to release the belly, to take some breaths. When you're ready, mild to moderate exhale out the mouth. Doesn't have to be too sudden. Of course, just releasing the belly, breathing well. We'll do just one abdominal move while we're here. Twisted root abs. So we'll cross the right knee over the left, and there's a possibility the right foot hooks behind the left calf. Now, if this bothers your knees or your sacrum, this crossing of the legs like so, please feel free to move and placing your feet on the wall. And you could put like a roll or a prop between your legs so you're getting all the same back angles and inner leg work, but without quite as much motion through the sacrum. We'll go hands behind the head, feet active. Inhale. Just floating the head, the shoulders up a tiny bit. Exhale. Kind of roll, turning that left thigh in. Roll, turning my right thigh inwardly. Sinking the low belly in. And then inhaling. Letting up some of those efforts. And exhaling. So now as I exhale, as I engage the inner legs, the low back will start to move more flush with the ground. So that same arc may not be present. And again, inhale, last one of this. And exhale, thigh rolls inwardly into thigh, drawing the low belly in. And inhale, we'll set the head down, we'll switch the cross of the legs. So we'll cross the left knee over the right knee, possibly the left foot behind the right calf. The feet active. And just a detail, I'm not just squeezing my legs together linearly like windshield wipers, but I'm kind of rotating, rolling, like rolling pin, rolls, squeezing them inwardly. Inhale, float the head, shoulder blades off the ground. And then exhale, feel that rolling pin action of the left thigh rolling over to the right side and the right thigh bone rolling into the left side. sink the belly down. Inhale, keeping the head and shoulder blades up just for a moment. And exhale. Drawing the low belly down. Once more, inhale. And exhale. Feel the activity of both thigh bones. The activity is different, but there's activity in each thigh and each hip. Some people will feel this in the really deep outer part of that hip capsule. Some people will feel this in the deep inner crease of the hip. Good. And then we'll unwind. All right. Let's turn over, pressing to standing. And we'll stand at the top of our mat. Good. All right. Inhale, reaching the arms overhead, telescoping the ribs away from the hips. Exhale, fold, softening through the neck, the eyes. Inhale, step the left foot back. We'll go straight away to knee up, heel up lunge. I'm just leaving the hands down. And even though I'm not moving my legs, I can intone that roll, squeezing, that inner leg work from a moment ago, from those twining vine moves, those twisted root moves. So, easy twisting lunge. Leave the left hand down. You could also use a block. And I want to give you the option of leaving the left heel up or planting the left heel down. I'm going to leave my heel up for today because I want to play and work with that rotation of the left hip. And then inhale, take the right arm toward the sky. Our chest faces the right. And then exhaling, press through that left palm. Get lighter on that left shoulder. Press through that left arm line. Feel that left shoulder blade glide slightly away from the spine. Reach vibrantly through that right arm line. And feel the right shoulder. It's the space in that joint augmenting. There it is. That's it. Mm-hmm. And this might be a place to just kind of play with that neck motion that we discussed earlier. So in a position like this, if we're just dropping or letting our head go down passively, which isn't bad, you might need to just adjust some of the position so it feels better. Now, inhale, we will set the left knee down. Okay. Exhaling, crossing the left armpit over the right thigh. I'm just finding out if fingertips to ground is the way I'm going just yet. I'm going to stay with palm up. So you have these options. Palm up is just a little bit easier on the torso, and fingertips down just gets a little deeper. And I'll take that right arm reach overhead for this twisting extended lunge. Now with my left elbow bent, mine happens to be bent, I'm sending, reaching it down as if toward my heel. And inhale, I'm going to unwind, come back upright, and arrange head, heart, pelvis over that left kneecap. So I'm going to engage a hands-free twist. So to make it hands-free, this is one way I like. I like just crossing, and my elbows point forward, and some people just touch their collarbone. That works too. If I kind of do this, I can lead the elbows forward and create a little more stretch around the shoulder blade and mid-back. Inhale, try that slide head adjustment where the bottom of the jaw just glides back over the tabletop, maybe a centimeter or less. Find out if you get a little more crown to sky. And then exhale, taking those elbows, the chest, turn to the right. And when you meet that first little bit of resistance, just pause. So while I'm reaching the elbows in front of my face, I'm ever so slightly drawing the chin, the jaw, the head slightly back. And that's really just a function of statistics. Usually if we start to reach or lean forward with our arms, our head kind of gets dragged forward. So there's a little both and. The elbows reaching forward, the back of the head is slipping back a millimeter. And if you find you get just another little bit of turn, another little bit of turn, great. And release. Inhale. We'll bring the hands to the front of the mat. Exhaling, downward dog. Downward dog. Strongly straighten the arms. And we'll work that lunge on the other side. Inhale, left foot forward. Right heel, right knee off ground. And then exhaling, we'll feel that twisted root component, which is an inner leg. There's an activity that structures, that supports that inner leg crease. And the groin is supporting the pelvis. So with the utilization, with the felt sense of, oh, my inner legs are involved here, I just get the assurance that there's support. So I'm not just sagging bone on bone. I'm not just sagging into my hip ligamenture. He uses muscles to support me. And then we'll inhale, setting the right knee down for twisting extended lunge. So exhaling, and taking the right armpit over the left thigh. Oh, thank you. I did forget a spot. You're right, easy twisting lunge. Thank you. The right hand is down, the left arm is up. And if you had set the right knee down, let's for a moment more bring the knee up. Thank you. There you go. There it is. Now it makes relaxing the neck a different creature. There's a different neck relaxing that we do, but I find that little bit of neck position where I move the back of the head just slightly back allows me into the upper ribs. All right, so now we'll place the right knee down for that twisting, extended lunge. Exhaling the right armpit over the left thigh. And you'll decide, should I go palm up or fingertips to ground? And the left arm overhead. And inhaling. When we unwind, thank you. Arms free, twist. So I'm going to use my elbows pointing forward and my head just slightly gliding back over that top of imaginary countertop like a plane as we twist, as we turn to our left. Now that slight drawing back of the bottom of the jaw across that countertop is met also with reaching the crown toward the sky. And if you wanted to play with moving the tongue to the roof of your mouth, that would just be another form of a similar move. Like to really start to get into the deep neck and beneath the brain and into and around all these cranial nerves. To start getting kind of creative about how we find the neck through the tongue, through the mouth, through the teeth, through the blood flow in the face, through our shoulders, through our arms, through our lungs. And then inhaling, unwind. Well, now let's set the hands down. Exhaling. When we step back, set the knees down. We're going to do a very a variable camel form. Okay. So usually when we do camel, we'll go hands on hips and just start an arcing motion. Okay. I want to allow us to set one foot forward. I've placed my right foot forward. And the top of left foot is down. Hands on hips. And now inhaling, hands press the hips. The ribs lift toward the sky. And exhaling, you'll have to find the best position for your neck. Either you may want to just keep chin near sternum, or you may want to just let the head go back a little bit. And when we release, we'll switch sides. So you may experience a great tax through that down leg, meaning the muscles working really hard. Okay. So I'm pushing down with that top of, now it's my right foot, pushing down to create that gluteal kind of engagement, hands on hips. And now I work that extension or that telescoping up and chest opening to sky. Here we go. Hands on hips. I can afford to really press my hips forward with that right leg. And that left foot pressing down just helps me gain more altitude. Just like a camel, reaching all the way up into that collar, squeezing those elbows back somewhat. And we'll relax, we'll release, and we'll set both knees down. Hip width. Camel, both shins down, hands on hips. You may have noticed a little difference between the left side and the right side. And release, just by coming upright. Okay. I'm just adding a little padding to the knees. All right. Still from this kneeling, this tall kneeling place. Interlace the hands behind the back. Engaging the buttock muscles. Inhale. Lifting the chest up, just like we did in that camel. And then exhale, sending the knuckles toward the heels. Now I'll encourage you in these next many breaths, use the back of your arms strongly to open up the deep, deep front of the arm. So like the bicep, the deep, deep underneath the bicep area. I'll say it again. Just keep the breathing going. Engage the straightening of the elbow, the tricep, to start to open up the very deep bicep. It's like down to the bone type of bicep, like go to the bone, go deep, deep, deep. Nothing should feel weird in the elbow or in the nerves. release by coming upright, relaxing the grip of the hands. I will do one final move with the hands on the mat. We lower down. Boat. Interlace hands behind back. Just right above the sacrum. Okay, I'll stretch the legs straight back. I like having my feet touch the ground so that I can kind of monitor the rotation of my hips and my legs. You could also put something between your ankles to help monitor. Okay, inhale into the abdomen. The chest lifts away from the ground. Exhaling, engaging the legs, reaching the knuckles back. And here's another great place for that slight chin head move. It's just a slight back of the head moves toward the sky, like a 0.5 centimeter. And then I telescope the crown toward the horizon. Letting that neck move bring you deep into heart, upper heart territory. And release. Inhale, hands under chest. And exhale, press to your knees. And we'll have a seat. This will be our last move. Okay. I'm taking a knee pile. Any cross-legged will do. Cross-legged, knee pile, half lotus, shoelace. Any cross of the legs will do. I'm choosing knee pile. Inhale, reach the arms overhead, palms shoulder width. If you need to go wider, that's fine. And then exhale, just a slight motion with the back of the head, just slightly back. Again, just this is in the order of millimeters probably. And then telescope the crown into the sky. Inhale, bring the arms out to the sides. And now exhale smoothly without the arms pulling, turn to the right. If there's something around you, just bend an arm. Keep bringing the crown to the sky, the tail to the ground. And release. Inhale, come back centrally. We'll switch the cross of the legs. Very simple moves, other side. Inhale, we'll take the arms overhead, palms shoulder width. Now I might just let up on my arm distance to more precisely align my skull over my tail. I'll stretch the arms out to the side, turning to the left. Arms free, twist to the left. Now, if the head started to jut forward, just realign. And it's not just that I'm picking the head up, I'm kind of drawing the back of the head back just a little bit. There's a little bit of neck engagement, which allows me to telescope my head into the sky, my tail to the ground, my arms into the horizon. And release. Inhale, unwind. Let's lie back. We'll do a brief Shavasana. I'll have to realign my clocks so that we're on good time. But let's lie back or rest for a moment, if you have it. Because when we lie down on the ground, we have this alignment of the head, the heart, the pelvis. So it's a nice way to kind of feel into these three areas, one at a time or all together. So can you get a sense of breath underneath the tongue and back toward the spine? And the fidelity of your sense of this area, it might be a little fuzzy. And that's okay. If you have images, maybe you've studied the neck or the mouth or the throat, those images will help your sensitivity, your fidelity, your map. And then can you feel with your breath the area of the heart, the center of the chest? And does that throat spot, that head spot, breathe with the heart spot? And then one more, the low belly. Just a little bit beneath the navel. And as we go in, it's in toward the top rim of the sacrum. Kind of finding that midpoint between skin, belly skin, and sacrum. And feel how that point breathes. Does it breathe in accord with the heart and that throat or head space? As we start to breathe into these areas multiply together, correspondingly, differently apart, we'll start to register those different flavors of consciousness. Right? Just like we play with subtle objects. Oh, if I think this thought, I have this feeling. When I have this feeling, I behave in this manner. Right? When I breathe into my heart, I can feel consciousness has this weight, has this coherence, has this quality of love. And when I breathe into my head space with my heart, I feel how the head brings in clarity to the heart, and the heart gives warmth to the, and so on. We start to feel how these are additive and they complete our sense of the flavors of consciousness. So when you're ready, bend knees. Turn to a side. we'll press up. All right. So lots to play with this week. Namaste.